culture is a technique, it is a method by which we can cultivate plant tissues, cells, organs, seeds, and any part of the plant in a sterile environment under suitable medium and the different concentration of hormones. मैं अभी थोड़ा सा हिंदी में भी बताऊंगा बच्चों को. If my सर मेरा शेयर हो सकती है, मेरी स्क्रीन शेयर हो रही है यहाँ पे?
ब्लैकबोर्ड शेयर हो रहा है.
ओके. सो प्लांट टिश्यू कल्चर क्या टेक्निक है बच्चों के लिए? अगर हम कोई भी पार्ट लें सेल का, चाहे उसको हम कहते हैं एक्सप्लांट कहते हैं हम उसको, ठीक है. कोई भी प्लांट का कोई भी पार्ट ले, प्लांट के पास कैपेसिटी है अंडर सर्टाइल कंडीशन, अंडर सुटेबल मीडियम कंडीशन, कि वो इस छोटे से सेल के किसी भी सेल के पार्ट से क्या कर सकता है, एक पूरा का पूरा होल प्लांट जो है वो डिवेलप कर सकता है. सो ये ऐसी टेक्निक है. हम एक छोटे से कल्चर मीडियम के अंदर, ठीक है, हम क्या कर सकते हैं, पूरा का पूरा प्लांट हम डिवेलप कर सकते हैं, जिस टेक्निक को हम क्या कहते हैं, प्लांट टिश्यू कल्चर. अंडरस्टैंड? बच्चों ने अंडरस्टैंड किया? कम्युनिकेट करते रहो बच्चों मेरे साथ साथ, ठीक है. सो थिंग इज दैट द मेन प्लांट टिश्यू कल्चर basically depend upon two properties. One is totopotency and another is plasticity. The totopotency is the capacity of a plant to generate plant cell to generate into whole plant, and plasticity is the capacity of a plant cell to adapt with the metabolism, growth and development with regard to the surroundings. अगर हम surrounding के अंदर हम उनको एक ऐसा मीडियम प्रोवाइड करते हैं, मान लो कि हमें क्या करना है, कैलस बनाना है किसी भी सेल का. कैलस इज अनडिफरेंशिएटेड सेल्स, मास ऑफ सेल. अगर हमें कैलस बनाना है या रूटनिंग करनी है या शूटनिंग करनी है, तो हम क्या करते हैं, उस कंडीशन में हम क्या करते हैं, हम प्लांट्स को स्पेसिफिक एटमॉस्फेयर प्रोवाइड करते हैं. अगर हमने शूटनिंग करनी है, मान लिया हमने ये सेल ले लिया, ठीक है, हमने ये सेल ले लिया और हम क्या करेंगे, इसको एक ऐसे मीडियम के अंदर रख देंगे. मीडियम के अंदर क्या, हार्मोन के मीडियम के अंदर हम डिफरेंट कंसंट्रेशन देंगे ऑक्सीन एंड साइटोकाइनेंस की. मुझे ये मान के चल रहा हूं कि आप सबको पता होगा कि हार्मोन कैसे काम करते हैं, ऑक्सीन क्या होते हैं, साइटोकाइनेसिस क्या होते हैं. तो इसमें क्या होगा, ये शूटनिंग डेवलपमेंट होगी. यहाँ पे क्या किया, लीफ की डेवलपमेंट हुआ. हमने एक ऐसा एनवायरनमेंट प्रोवाइड किया, इस मास ऑफ सेल को कि वो शूट नहीं कर सके, ठीक है. अब इसके बाद हम क्या करेंगे, शूट अगर डेवलप हो गई तो हम इसको फिर अनदर कल्चर में रखेंगे जहां पे ऐसे हार्मोन्स होंगे जो रिस्पॉन्सिबल हैं रूटनिंग के लिए, ठीक है. तो उसी बाकी कल्चर में क्या होगी, इसको हमने यहाँ से निकाला और अनदर कल्चर में डाल दिया, यहाँ पे ऐसे हार्मोन्स हैं विद मीडियम. वो मैं सारा अभी आपको डिस्कस करूंगा इसी के अंदर. उसमें क्या होगा, यहाँ पे शूटिंग होने के बाद यहाँ पे रूटनिंग हो जाएगी, ठीक है. सो ये सभी टेक्निक्स को हम यूज करके क्या कर सकते हैं, एक पूरा का पूरा होल प्लांट हम डिवेलप कर सकते हैं, बना सकते हैं, ठीक है. फ्रॉम द, अगर स्क्रीन नहीं दिख रही तो मुझे प्लीज बता देना, मैं एडजस्ट कर लूंगा स्क्रीन, ठीक है. तो इससे क्या कर सकते हैं, हम पूरा का पूरा प्लांट हम जनरेट कर सकते हैं, ठीक है, और बड़ी कम स्पेस के अंदर कर सकते हैं, ठीक है. हेलो.
हाँ सर, आवाज आ रही सर.
स्क्रीन मेरी चले गई है,
नहीं स्क्रीन हो रही सर.
ओके, ठीक है. सो एक्सप्लांट क्या होता है, सबसे पहले हमें पता होना चाहिए व्हाट इज एक्सप्लांट. इफ वी वांट टू चूज,
थोड़ा सा लाइट एडजस्ट करिए सर.
लाइट के ऊपर, अच्छा कोई बात नहीं, लाइट बंद कर दें, ठीक है. ओके सर. सो एक्सप्लांट अगर हम ले रहे हैं, अगर हम किसी भी प्लांट से, लाइट चुका दे, लाइट बंद कर दे, ठीक है, ये वाला पीछे कर दे, ठीक है. अगर हम किसी भी सेल से क्या कर रहे हैं, अगर हम एक्सप्लांट ले रहे हैं तो उसका एक परफेक्ट है सर, परफेक्ट लाइट. ओके सर, ओके, ठीक है सर, ठीक है. तो हम क्या करते हैं, एक्सप्लांट चूज करने के लिए हमें बड़ा एहतियात बरतनी होगी, ठीक है. हमें ये देखना होगा कि हम कौन सा पार्ट ले रहे हैं प्लांट का, कौन से हिस्से को हमने लेने हैं कि वो इतना उसके पास एक कैपेसिटी हो कि पूरे प्लांट को रीजनरेट कर सके, ठीक है. तो अगर मान लो हमारे पास एक प्लांट है, पूरा का पूरा ये प्लांट इन्फेक्टेड है, तो हम क्या करेंगे, उसके मेरिस्टेमेटिक टिश्यूज लेंगे, वो टिप पे भी हो सकते हैं, वो रूट टिप पे हो सकते हैं, वो एक्सिलरी बड के भी हो सकते हैं, ठीक है। हम ऐसा प्लांट का पार्ट लेंगे जो फ्री हो। लेने को तो हम कोई भी ले सकते हैं एक्सप्लांट, बट सबसे पहले हमें क्या करना होगा, हमें प्लांट को सिलेक्ट करना होगा ऐसा प्लांट जो डिजीज फ्री हो, उसके अंदर कोई डिजीज ना हो। हमें ये देखना पड़ेगा, हमें उसको हम फिजिकली उसके बायोकेमिकली रिएक्शंस करके हम चेक कर सकते हैं वेदर दिस प्लांट इज गुड फॉर टेकिंग एक्सप्लांट और नॉट, ठीक है। और अगर वो प्लांट किसी वजह से इन्फेक्टेड है तो हमें उसके मेरिस्टेमेटिक टिश्यूज लेने होंगे, मेरिस्टेमेटिक सेल्स लेने होंगे, जिनसे क्या हो सके, हम एक ऐसा प्लांट प्रोड्यूस कर सकें जो डिजीज फ्री है, ठीक है। तो एक्सप्लांट इज व्हाट इज एक्सप्लांट? इट इज अ पार्ट ऑफ अ प्लांट फ्रॉम which we can regenerate a whole plant and it should be disease free. वो उसको कोई डिजीज नहीं होने चाहिए. इट मे बी अ लीफ, ठीक है, लीफ सेल हो सकता है, स्टेम सेल हो सकता है, रूट सेल हो सकता है, मेरिस्टेमेटिक सेल हो सकता है, एम्ब्रियो सेल हो सकता है. तो ये आपने सिलेक्शन के वक्त देखना है. और उसके बाद हम क्या करेंगे, अगर हम प्लांट टिश्यू कल्चर की लैब को देखेंगे, अगर हम वहां पे हमने जिस लैब में हमने काम करना है, तो उसको सबसे पहले क्या करना पड़ेगा, हमें स्टरलाइज करना पड़ेगा, स्टरलाइजेशन टेक्निक को यूज करके. ड्राई हीट स्टरलाइजेशन, फ्लेम स्टरलाइजेशन, ऑटोक्लेविंग होती है, फिल्टर स्टरलाइजेशन होती है. एंड व्हेन वी आर वर्किंग इन द लैमिनर एयर फ्लो, so we have to wet the surface of laminar by ethanol, 70% ethanol. So these are the some techniques by which we can sterilize the lab condition, and after that we have to be prepare a suitable medium which are very essential for the culturing of cell. अगर उसके बाद this is the मैं भी बताता हूँ, जो प्लांट टिश्यू सैंपल मैंने लिया था वो मैंने FRI से लिया था, बट बिफोर दैट आई विल शो द प्रिपरेशन of area. So this is the this table shows the different components, micro and macro components, and some vitamins, hormones are there, which sucrose is a source of energy. Agar is used for the act as a solidified agent. So this is a real composition of the medium which we prepare for the culturing of tissues. ठीक है. स्पेशली आज जो मैं आपसे बात कर रहा हूँ, ठीक है, वो मैं करूंगा स्टीविया रैबोटिनिया की. Stevia rhabotinia is a medicine plant and it is very important in treating the sugar patient, especially if they have the sugar tolerant patient. Even it is very good for the hypertension, obesity. So stevia is a medicine plant, and it is an alternative of carbohydrate because it contains steviosides and ribidosides, which are very good for your health and control many diseases. So हमने क्या किया था, when I was studying my MSc, so वहां पे हमने क्या किया था, टिश्यू कल्चर टेक्निक को यूज करके हमने इस प्लांट को ग्रो किया था लैब कंडीशन के अंदर, अंडर द डिफरेंट कंसंट्रेशन ऑफ हार्मोन, ऑक्सीन एज वेल एज साइटोकाइनिन हमने यूज की थी. तो ये हमने मीडियम प्रिपरेशन कर दिया था. तो आज मैं थोड़ा सा रिजल्ट के बारे में डिस्कस करूंगा. तो हमने क्या किया था, वी हैव टेक द साइटो हेलो any query students? Hello, I think some of the students are out of the hello.
हाँ जी सर, बोलिए
sir, I think so there is a nice from the background. Okay sir. Sir, even बच्चों के लिए ये है. So we can study the effect of cytokinin, especially 6-pentene amino. हमने इसका क्या मैं की थी, जब हम प्लांट की स्टडी कर रहे, तो हमने क्या किया था, वहां पे प्लांट एक्सिलरी नोडल बर्ड्स को लिया था, एक्सिलरी और नोडल बर्ड. अब मैं बताता हूँ वो कैसा होगा. देख लो, अगर हम ये बात करें, one of the branch of stem. तो हमने 97% of the response over here, and the number of shoot is maximum in 2 0.0 mg per liter of concentration, and further the root length is also maximum in this concentration. So, and these values are significantly at the 0.5%. 0.5. सो ये देखिए, हमने जब किया था, ये मैंने अपनी एमएससी की रजिस्ट्रेशन से निकाला है। सो नोडल जो एक्सप्लांट थे, हमने उनको मीडियम के अंदर क्या किया था, यहाँ पे इनोकुलेट किया था। ठीक है, यहाँ पे इनोकुलेट करने के लिए हमने इसको छोड़ दिया था 4 हफ्तों के लिए। 4 हफ्तों के लिए छोड़ दिया, तो उसके अंदर क्या हुआ, कैसा रिस्पॉन्स आया था, वो मैं आपको बताता हूँ। इस तरह का क्या हुआ था, यहाँ पे हमने देखा कितने, ये दिस इज ओरिजिनल फोटो ऑफ माय थीसिस, वो वहां से मैंने स्कैन करके यहाँ पे अटैच किया है। तो यहाँ पे देखो, उस इस छोटे से बर्ड से जब वहां पे शूट्स ग्रो होना शुरू हो,
स्क्रीन शेयर करिए, स्क्रीन नहीं दिख रही है आपकी।
स्क्रीन इज नॉट शेयर सर, आई थिंक सो यू आर बिकमिंग द होस्ट। ओके ओके,
अपना स्क्रीन शेयर करिए।
Yeah, sir, it's visible now, sir.
Now it's yes.
Yeah.
You can restart now. Because some of the things students are missing very important.
Okay, sir, no issue, no issue, sir. Still, they are child, sir. They have to. This is the right of student. Okay, so no problem. यहाँ पे हम देख सकते हैं, यहाँ पे मैंने आपको बताया, ये दिस इज द ओरिजिनल फोटो ऑफ माय थीसिस। जहां पे हमने देखा था, शुरू में हमने देखा, हमने क्या किया, जो हमने नोडल पार्ट को यहाँ पे कल्चरिंग के लिए इनोकुलेट कर दिया। ठीक है, आफ्टर 4 डेज उनके अंदर एक रिस्पॉन्स 89.33%. So, and the maximum root number is also observed in that, and the maximum shoot length is also observed in the same concentration of the treatment of NA. So, ये क्या शो कर रहा है, यहाँ पे देखिए, शूट्स के अंदर आपने देखा यहाँ पे। ठीक है, अब जब यहाँ पे प्लांट है तो ग्रो नहीं करेंगे डायरेक्टली, अगर हम लेके आएंगे, एक्सपोजर करवा देंगे पूरा का पूरा आउटर एटमॉस्फेयर के अंदर, तो क्या होगा, वहां पे इनकी डेथ होने के पूरे चांसेस रहते हैं, ये सर्वाइव नहीं कर सकेंगे। हम इन्हें आस्ता आस्ता करके इन्हें एक्सपोजर देना है आउटर एटमॉस्फेयर का, तो हम इन्हें कुछ दिन के लिए ग्रीन हाउस में रखते हैं। हार्डनिंग करने के बाद हम इनको डायरेक्टली, हम प्लांट्स को क्या करते हैं, अगर हमने ग्रो करना है कमर्शियली, वो फिर डिपेंड करता है कि हम आगे क्या करना चाहते हैं। कमर्शियली ग्रो करना चाहते हैं, जहां इनको हमने खेतों में लगाना है, वो टोटली डिपेंड अपॉन अवर इंटरेस्ट। तो ये पूरा का पूरा जो प्रोसेस था माइक्रो प्रोपोगेशन का, जो हमने किया था, और बेस्ट रिजल्ट हमने देखे यहाँ पे डिफरेंट कंसंट्रेशन ऑफ हार्मोन के ऊपर हमें ऑब्टेन हुए। तो अब ये चीज आपको मैं बताना चाहता हूँ, एग्रीकल्चर में प्लांट टिश्यू कल्चर कैसे बेनिफिट हो सकता है। हमने देखा, देयर आर लॉट ऑफ स्पीसीज इन दिस वर्ल्ड विच आर इंडेंजरस, ठीक है, जो खत्म होने के कगार पे हैं, बड़ी रेयर्स हैं। बैम्बो की बात कर लें हम, तो बैम्बो का जो सीड फॉर्मेशन है वो 100 साल में एक बार होता है। ठीक है, अगर हमें उसे लार्ज स्केल के ऊपर कल्चर करना है, तो टिश्यू कल्चर इज वन ऑफ द बेस्ट टेक्निक टू कल्चर बैम्बो ऑन अ लार्ज स्केल एंड फॉर द कमर्शियल पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू। ठीक है, उसके बाद हम क्या कर सकते हैं, रैदर देन हम जो स्कैंडी मेटाबोलाइट प्रोड्यूस होते हैं प्लांट्स के सेल के थ्रू, जैसे फ्लेवोनाइड्स हो गए, फिनोलिक कंटेंट्स हो गए, ठीक है. देयर आर लॉट ऑफ सेकेंडरी मेटाबोलाइट्स व्हिच आर आल्सो बेनिफिशियल फॉर द मेडिसिन पर्पस एंड फॉर द कमर्शियल पर्पस. तो वो भी हम टिश्यू कल्चर टेक्निक से हम क्या कर सकते हैं, उनको कल्चर कर सकते हैं, उनसे ग्रोथ, उनको हम आइसोलेट करके उनको हम सुटेबल तरीके से आगे हम भेज सकते हैं. पंकज प्लीज ऑफ योर माइक. बच्चे, देयर आर लॉट ऑफ नॉइज क्रिएटेड बाय यू. ठीक है. सेकेंडरी हम ये देखते हैं, हम स्मॉल स्केल के ऊपर, छोटे से एरिया के अंदर हम क्या कर सकते हैं, एक लार्ज नंबर ऑफ प्लांट्स को प्रोड्यूस कर सकते हैं, और वो भी ऐसे प्लांट्स जो कि डिजीज फ्री है, जिनके अंदर कोई भी माइक्रो ऑर्गेनिज्म की कंटेमिनेशन नहीं हो सकती, क्योंकि हमने उनको सप्लाइड कंडीशन में रखा हुआ है, सब कुछ हमने किया हुआ है. उसके बाद हम क्या कर सकते हैं, ऐसे प्रोटीन्स प्रोड्यूस कर सकते हैं जो रिकम्बिनेंट प्रोटीन्स हैं. ठीक है. प्लांट्स के अंदर ऐसे प्रोटीन्स हम प्रोड्यूस कर सकते हैं, सेकेंडरी मेटाबोलाइट प्रोड्यूस कर सकते हैं, जिनका फार्मास्यूटिकल बायोटेक्नोलॉजी में, फार्मास्यूटिक्स में बड़ा ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंस है. ये सारे के सारे जो है, दीज आर द बोन्स ऑफ प्लांट टिश्यू कल्चर. ये ऐसा नहीं है जो मैंने आपको बता दिया कि बड़ा सिंपल है कि हमने प्लांट टिश्यू कल्चर देख लिया और सीख लिया. इसके लिए बड़े स्किल चाहिए, इसके लिए हमें बड़ा पेशेंस चाहिए, और इसके लिए हमें जो कंडीशंस हैं, टेम्परेचर है, पीएच है मीडियम की, ठीक है, फिनोलिक कंटेंट्स होते हैं, डिजीज होती है, सिस्टमेटिक डिजीज होती है प्लांट्स को, उन सबको कंट्रोल करना पड़ता है. इट इज वेरी लेबोरियस एंड स्किलफुल प्रोसेस. हमें बड़ी मेहनत करके ये सीखना पड़ता है और करना पड़ता है, सभी की सभी चीजों को देखना पड़ता है. और ये सारे के सारे गुण हैं, हम इसको एग्रीकल्चर में यूज कर सकते हैं फॉर प्रोड्यूसिंग डिजीज फ्री प्लांट्स, फॉर द कमर्शियल पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू, and for the production of recombinant pharmaceutical proteins, जिनका बड़ा ज्यादा गुण है. Even we know that there are lot of medicinal plants. तो वो कैसे प्रोड्यूस होते हैं, वो कोई ना कोई सेल, प्लांट का कोई ना कोई सेल प्रोड्यूस करता है. हम उन सेल्स को कल्चर करके भी उन कंपाउंड्स को आइसोलेट कर सकते हैं, पूरे प्लांट को कल्चर करने के अलावा. तो these are the bones of the plant tissue culture, and I am not taking much more time for discussing this thing more. I think so. This is a crisp of the lecture, and I will thank you all of the faculty members and especially students of the ATC college for giving me a opportunity to deliver a lecture on the plant tissue culture importance in the agriculture. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you, but sir.
Thank you so much, sir, for your enlightening lecture. And this is the question and answer session now for 10 minutes. This is 1:50 p.m. So all my dear students, if you have any question, please discuss, sir. I think already we have a lot of questions, so please come up.
बच्चों फ्रीली पूछो, कोई बात नहीं, और फ्रीली पूछो, कोई हेजिटेट नहीं करना है. आई एम जस्ट लाइक ए एल्डर ब्रदर टू यू, अ फ्रेंड टू यू, एंड डोंट हेजिटेट टू आस्क मी एनी क्वेश्चन. You can ask me what is going on in your mind, in your head and heart, XYZ. You can ask me simply.
Chat section में अंजलि ने पूछा है, what are the side effects of this plant stevia?
Yes, sir. Repeat. Pardon, sir. What is the side effect of?
What is the side effect of stevia plants?
Side effect of the stevia plants. साइड इफेक्ट ऑफ स्टीविया प्लांट्स, ये बड़ा इंपॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चन है. बट एक्चुअली बच्चे, अभी तक तो मुझे ऐसा लगा नहीं कि कोई साइड इफेक्ट है इस प्लांट का. ठीक है. इतना हो सकता है कि अगर हम इसे अगर एक प्रॉपर मैनर पे कल्चर नहीं करें तो मतलब हाँ, एक काम इसका हो सकता है. इसके अंदर अगर हम इसका यूज करते रहें तो ये दिस इज अल्टरनेटिव ऑफ कार्बोहाइड्रेट्स. सो कार्बोहाइड्रेट्स आर आल्सो वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर आवर बॉडी फॉर सस्टेनमेंट. So we have to make the balance between the use of stevia during medication, and this will maintain the homeostasis between the sugar as well as the non-sugar component.
Participants.
And the steviocytes are more 300 times more sweeter than the carbohydrates. And the one important thing is that steviosides or ribinosides are alternative of carbohydrate. So the carbohydrate is responsible for increasing your blood sugar. अगर हम उसका अल्टरनेटिव यूज कर रहे हैं यहाँ पे, तो डेफिनेटली कार्बोहाइड्रेट्स कम होंगे, ठीक है, तो हमारे शुगर लेवल में कार्बोहाइड्रेट्स कम होंगे, तो कार्बोहाइड्रेट्स कम होंगे तो वो हम चलो अपने स्वीटनर के लिए हम उनको ले रहे हैं, एज ए स्वीटनर उसको ले रहे हैं, बट उसका कोई साइड इफेक्ट नहीं है कहाँ पे, हमारे शुगर मेटाबॉलिज्म को इंक्रीज करने के लिए। यस सर। एनी अदर क्वेश्चन बच्चे?
Hello dear student, any questions? Acha. Another question from Suparna. Raksha, are you there?
यहाँ पे हम एक चीज दे सकते हैं, इनका जो साइड इफेक्ट और भी पड़ता है हमारे जो गैस्ट्रिक ग्लैंड्स हैं उनके ऊपर पड़ सकता है। इवन किडनी में जब फिल्ट्रेशन होती है वहां पे भी किडनी डिमेसिस के चांसेस होते हैं। अगर हम इसको एक्सेस यूज करें, हम इनको यूज कर सकते हैं एज ए स्वीटनर, बट इसको हमने एक लिमिटेड अमाउंट में यूज करना है। मतलब ये नहीं कि हम इसको लेते रहे, जो हमने मान लिया कि अब ये शुगर का अल्टरनेटिव है तो हम लेते रहे, तो इसका जब फिल्ट्रेशन प्रोसेस होगा किडनी के अंदर तो नेफ्रॉन के ऊपर इनके ज्यादा स्ट्रेस पड़ेगा, तो हमें इसको एक प्रॉपर अमाउंट में लेना है। या
Sapna Sunar ka question hai, how much time to take this process?
So it is so difficult process. It is not a process of 2-3 days, and I have spent near about 6 months, especially on culturing of stevia. And that is totally dependent upon the nature and the selection of the tissue from where we are taking, and the tissue of the cell, and especially the environment of the plant from which we are taking the tissue. अब देखो ये चीज मैं आपको चीज बताता हूँ, जैसे हम बात करें अमृतसर का जो एटमॉस्फेयर है, दैट इज टोटली डिफरेंट फ्रॉम द एटमॉस्फेयर ऑफ देहरादून, ठीक है। तो जो प्लांट, जिस प्लांट से हम एक्सप्लांट हम ले रहे हैं, वो भी बड़ा इंपॉर्टेंट एक पॉइंट होता है कि हमने एक्सप्लांट कहाँ से लिया। सेकेंडरी थिंग, जो हमारी जो एटमॉस्फेयर होगा हमारी लैब के अंदर, मैंने आपसे बात किया, वो उसके अंदर हम कितनी स्टेरिलिटी कंडीशन रख सकते हैं। दिस इज आल्सो वन ऑफ द इम्पोर्टेंट फैक्टर। पीएच इज ह्यूमिडिटी इज टेम्परेचर इज वन ऑफ द इम्पोर्टेंट फैक्टर। सो ये सारे कल्चर हमें करके रखने पड़ते हैं। इसमें ऐसा कुछ नहीं है कि हम मतलब इसमें टाइम ड्यूरेशन है। जब हमारा प्रोटोकॉल सेट हो गया, जब हमारे पास अच्छे रिजल्ट आने शुरू हो गए और उसी प्रोटोकॉल के ऊपर हमारे अच्छे रिजल्ट्स आ रहे हैं, तो हम कहेंगे हाँ अब हमारा प्लांट जो हमारा जो एक्सपेरिमेंट है दैट इज सक्सेसफुल। सो इसमें कोई टाइम ड्यूरेशन की हम बात नहीं कर सकते। इट इज अ लेंथी प्रोसेस। अगर हमने कोई ऐसा प्लांट ले लिया जिसके अंदर हम कहें कि अल्कोहल जो फिनोलिक कंटेंट्स ज्यादा है, जहाँ किसी के अंदर सिस्टमेटिक इन्फेक्शन आ गई प्लांट के अंदर, उस केस में क्या होगा, उस केस में हमें उन सबको कंट्रोल करना पड़ेगा। पहले हमें कंट्रोल करना पड़ेगा जितने भी फिनोलिक कंटेंट्स है जो एक्सक्रीट कर रहे हैं टिश्यू से, तो उस केस में हम चारकोल्स को, हम डिफरेंट कंसंट्रेशन ऑफ चारकोल यूज करके हम उनको सीक्वेंस कर सकते हैं जितने भी हमारे फिनोलिक कंटेंट्स हैं। तो ये ऐसा कुछ नहीं है कि हम 6 महीने के अंदर 2 महीने के अंदर कर सकेंगे। दैट इज टोटली डिपेंड अपॉन द स्किल ऑफ द मैन एज वेल एज द स्किल्स ऑफ skill, it is the atmosphere of the lab also. Yeah.
The next question is from Manish. How to control systematic disease?
So it is so difficult to control the systematic infections. So one thing is that you have to choose the systematic tissue. So this is one of the control of that thing. अगर आप किसी भी का मिस्टमेटिक टिश्यू ले लो तो वहां पे इन्फेक्शन, जो वायरल इन्फेक्शन है, जो कोई बैक्टीरियल इन्फेक्शन है, इट विल टेक टाइम टू स्प्रेड ओवर द सिस्टमेटिक टिश्यू। तो हमें मतलब मिस्टमेटिक टिश्यूज लेने चाहिए, और अगर आ भी गई है तो उसके लिए हमें फिर बड़ा मुश्किल होगा और हमें उनके लिए एंटीबायोटिक्स वगैरह यूज करने पड़ेंगे और उनको कंट्रोल करने के लिए।
Thank you so much, sir, for your enlightening answers. For the participants, students, faculty, distinguished members of the staff, thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. So nice of you, sir.
Then I invite Madam Baljeet to kindly welcome our next distinguished speaker, that is Dr. Sheikh Mathur, sir, from Pratishtha Industries. Please, ma'am.
Good afternoon, everyone. Dear participants, our next distinguished speaker is Dr. Abhishek Mathur, sir. He is currently DGM at Pratishta Industries Limited, Telangana. He is specialized in phytochemicals, metabolites, and latest agriculture technologies. He has more than 100 research papers published. He has 3 patents, 3 books published, and he has attended more than 40 global conferences. He has been awarded recently by Fox Asia for Research Excellence Award 2020. So it's my great pleasure to invite Dr. Mathurji to represent his guest lecture on PGPR role in biofertilizers. Dr. Mathur, please.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Good evening, all of you. This is Dr. Abhishek from Pratishta Industries Limited. First of all, I congratulate Dr. S.M. Bhatt Saab and the organizers for conducting such a great webinar on the current trends in the agriculture microbiology. So this will be a kind of great conversation between the students and eminent people available here. So my current
kindly share your PPT, sir. Kindly share your PPT.
So yeah, yes, sir. So the PPT is now visible. My voice is audible.
Voice is audible, but PPT is not visible, sir.
Acha. I am able to see my PPT. So now it is visible.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. It starts sharing, sir.
It's starting, sir.
It's visible, huh?
Oh no, PPT is not visible. It is start sharing. PPT is not visible. It's nothing blank.
It is looking like that you are screen sharing. It is mentioned like that.
It's written here. I have started screen sharing. Double click to enter full screen. So, share screen once again, sir. Refresh actually. Again, try to share. Because of weak internet, technical problem, but just wait for 5 minutes. That will resolve that. So only that one will be given certificate that is here in the webinar, actively participating. Just they have failed and not attending, they will not be given any certificate. I will check from the recording who is participating. Only message of they want certificate, they must join this webinar. So, technical aspects of plant tissue culture was highlighted by Dr. and scientist Ravinji, very close friends, and we are planning some collaborative research work also related to two aspects of plant tissue culture, the banana planting. Dr. Kapna will also be the part of the member. Dr. Ravinder is the head of the project, so we are planning very soon at AGC Amritsar, and along with that we are going to start some other projects that is beneficial, commercial and entrepreneurship purpose. So many students are contacting us for latest innovations in aquaponics for specific plant culture, specific herbal medicine culture, and also extraction procedures. So if anyone is interested to develop such skills, so you can contact us. Recently we have started organic certification course, that is 6 months course. After that will be a certificate based on that you can start your entrepreneurship and you have to give the certification to the farmers, also training to the farmers in the business sectors, right? And also we will give you the training over the hydroponics aspects, how to culture at large scales. So I think Dr. Abhishek is joining very soon. And then we will continue with that. So one aspect I would like to highlight is the plant culture, because I am also in the same fields. Plant culture is one of my strengths area, specialized area, and we actually worked a lot on these aspects of agriculture. So what we can see, micropropagation is one of the very good methodology if you want virus-free and to develop a variety. I think Dr. Abhishek Mathur is here, so we can continue. Please, sir.
Sir, I am available now.
Yes, sir.
Can we start?
Yes, yes, sir.
Is the PPT visible? My voice is audible, sir?
Perfect.
Okay. So, my topic for today's lecture is PGPRs as the significant growth promotion agents for sustainable agriculture. So, with the advances in the agriculture and there are different approaches coming nowadays. There is a continuation only we are able to this sustainable agriculture productivity is therefore used responsible for the enhancement of the productivity as well as the effective agents that can be utilized and can be promoted for in a meaningful manner for the utilization for farmers and other stakeholders. So coming to this particular scenario in the advancement of agriculture technology, the PGPRs are also acting as a strong foundation for maintaining the sustainable agriculture productivity and enhancing the growth promotion activities in the crops, and also stimulating the defensive action in the crops also. They provides the resistance to the crops against different pathogenic diseases and different kinds of infection spreading from different other crops or to the environment. So PGPRs, what are PGPRs basically? The PGPRs are basically the plant growth promoting rhizobacteria, and these plant growth promoting rhizobacteria are having a sustainable role because they are living for a long period in the soil and they are interacting with the communities of all other PGPRs, and they perform in such a in a well coordinated manner, so that these PGPRs are effectively promoting the colonization, enhancing the branches pattern as well as the leaf pattern. Simultaneously, these PGPRs are interacting with each other and they forms a kind of network. They forms a kind of teamwork in the soil. So there is a kind of ecological nick. There's a microbiological nick in the soil, that is a rhizosphere region. And these PGPRs are different in terms of nitrogen fixing bacteria. These nitrogen fixing bacteria may be free living nitrogen fixing bacteria or maybe bound to the root nodules of leguminous plants in the form of rhizobium, or suppose they are free living, suppose they are in the form of azotobacter or azospirillum, and simultaneously they are also the potash mobilizing bacteria, they are phosphorus solubilizing bacteria, there are different manganese solubilizing bacteria, silica solubilizing bacteria, etc., and they works in a coordinated fashion. They forms a kind of teamwork in the ecological nick, right? This rhizosphere nick, I can say, and it maintains a kind of colonization in the soil, so that they can promote, they can release their molecules and can help the growth of the crops and provides protection to the crops against different pathogenic infections and other diseases. So these are available in the rhizosphere region. Rhizosphere region is a part of the region where the root cap is present, and the surrounding soil, the surrounding atmosphere of the root is surrounded by present surrounded by this particular rhizobacteria, is PGPRs basically. But I can say that there are no there are some other non-rhizobacteria also. They are non-pathogenic. They are also pathogenic bacteria residing along with this PGPRs. So we have distributed the PGPRs into two different categories. One is the positive PGPRs, means the bacteria or the fungi which are responsible for the growth of the crops. So they are PGPR, positive PGPRs. But there are some organisms also surrounding these positive PGPRs which are not able to enhance the growth of the crops in any manner. So they are known as negative PGPRs. So these PGPRs, as I said earlier, that they are able to fix the nitrogen. They are able to secrete some signal molecules or hormones or some growth factors which are responsible for the sustainable growth of the crops. They also help in nodulation, as we know that rhizobium are the bacteria which are present in the root nodules. They are able to take the nutrients uptake actually. So nutrient uptake is a main important factor, because if suppose they are not able to sustain the nutrient, they are not able to provide the nutrient to the crop further. Proceed favors the are basic agents responsible for the inhibition of different soil pathogenic flora residing there. Okay, and they are also releasing some molecules which are able to have the resistance properties in the crops against a different control of different pathogens, any fungal pathogen, any bacterial pathogen, or any kind of pest or insects. So they are also able to release some biocontrolling molecules also. So these PGPRs are acting as the heroes in zero budget natural farming. So coming to this PGPRs, Rhizosphere Nick, where these PGPRs, positive PGPRs, negative PGPRs, and some pathogenic bacteria are present. So the positive PGPRs are interacting with the roots of the crops. Okay, so they are providing the nutrition by solubilizing the complex materials in the soil. Definitely, if suppose complex phosphates are available in the soil, they are resolving those complex phosphates, and they are making available the easy and the simplest form of the phosphorus or potash to the crops, so that the crops can sustain their life. Okay, so simultaneously these roots are providing the shelter to these PGPRs, and they provide the kind of interaction. So they also release some kind of molecules which interacts with these PGPRs, so that a kind of coordinated fashion occurs in the system. And this coordinated fashion is works in such a well-planned manner that there is a mutual and symbiotic relationship between PGPRs and other bacteria, and the teamwork of these PGPRs and along with the roots. So there is a kind of microbe to microbe interactions, and there is a kind of microbe to plant roots or plant interactions. So there is a total community residing in the soil. That is basically the rhizosphere region, which has to be explored. So there are different researches going on, and different scientists are working globally around the world actually, and they are basically isolating, screening, and identifying the properties of such PGPRs. They are identifying such new genera also that are able to enhance the growth of the crops in such a manner. So there are a lot many microbes which have been investigated, and there are some microbes yet to be explored. So there are different researches going on. So we need to explore these microbes so that we can we can also identify the microbes, molecules, and the metabolites released from these microbes, so that we can identify such properties, and we can explore such properties for making our products, or for enhancement of agriculture or sustainable agriculture productivity. So this is a photograph where you can see that there are different kinds of cells, and there are different kinds of cells of different microbes, basically PGPRs, positive PGPRs, and then interacting with each other, but they are working in a specific fashion, though, so that the molecules release are also benefiting the crop growth. So this is a kind of microbe interaction, or microbe to crop interactions. So So basically, PGPRs are, as we know, that they are meant to be effective growth modulators, and they are releasing secreting novel metabolites and different growth molecules that are enhancing the growth of the crops. And these molecules are also enable the crops to resist against the stress conditions. So there are different kinds of stresses when in agriculture, when we used to study about the crops and PGPRs, or because of the biofertilizers only. So there are stress conditions. Stress conditions may be a biotic stress or abiotic stress, and the biotic stress are basically induced by different biological agents. That may be any pathogen or any kind of damage that occurs to the crops. And abiotic stress is related to the kind of environmental and atmospheric conditions in which the different crops are resisting against such stress conditions by such environmental factors, sunlight, or some kind of salt stress conditions, or kind of rain, complete rain, or complete no rains in the soil, like that. So there are different kinds of stress conditions on which the crop is resisting and sustaining, and so they also allows the crops to sustain against such stress conditions. So now these PGPRs are able to secrete different enzymes and different growth regulatory compounds. They are secreting different signatophores, bacteriocins, different antibiotics they are releasing, and different growth regulatory factors and metabolites they are secreting, and they induces a kind of defense mechanism in the crops. Okay, so this kind of defense mechanism is basically distributed into two types. One is induced systemic resistance, and another is systemic acquired resistance. So basically, induced systemic resistance is basically induced in the crops when some kind of defensive activity gets enhanced in the crops. Okay, for example, suppose we are introducing Pseudomonas fluorescens in the soil of the paddy crop. We are developing a kind of induced systemic resistance in the crop because which are already available soil, pathogens available in the soil, which can destroy the crop. Okay, so this is a kind of induced systemic resistance. Suppose biofertilizer or any kind of defensive agent we are giving to the crops, so that we are indirectly providing the induced systemic resistance in the crops. Okay, so this is about induced systemic resistance, but there is another mechanism known as systemic acquired resistance. In systemic acquired resistance, there is basically suppose any damage occurs to the crops, so there is automatically different sites of defense-related genes gets activated, and these defense-related genes are releasing pathogenesis-related proteins. They are transforming into the pathogenesis proteins, and these pathogen-related proteins can be any enzyme like chitinases, glucanases, or any hydrolyzing enzymes which can automatically degrade the pathogenic cell walls, which can automatically degrade the toxic material available in the soil. So this is a kind of systemic acquired resistance. When any injury occurred to the plant or any disruption occurs in the plant body, then some kind of defensive related genes gets activated, and they produces some kinds of enzymes and molecules which automatically invade the crop against the infection of any agent or any pathogen residing in the soil or in the environment. So there is basically induced systemic resistance and systemic acquired resistance, which works in a coordinated fashion to develop a kind of immunity in the crop. Okay, so this is because of the kind of defense mechanism the crop is having. Now the PGPRs are totally involved in the growth promotion, the shoot elongation, the root colonization, and they are developing the great or effective vigor index in the crops. So they are overall effective for developing the significant and positive attributes in the crops so that these crops can be able to sustain the significant growth in the crops for a lifetime, like that. These are the root exhibits of the specific crops. Now, there is a specific research now there's going on that roots of such crops in which the PGPRs are residing along with these roots. These roots are also secreting some molecules. These molecules and root molecules and the PGPRs inductions are also being studied nowadays. And this is another topic of research because these root molecules are also significant molecules which enables the growth of the PGPRs to sustain the agriculture productivity in terms of enhancement of the growth of the crops. Now, these PGPRs have a significant role. They can be utilized and they can be formulated as a biofertilizer, as a biopesticidal agent, as a bioinsecticidal agent, and these are total organic because these are grass category microbes and generally regarded as safe, and these can be utilized in a meaningful manner. But in our country, there are some agriculture norms and there are some licenses specific to the specific genre of the bacteria, subgenus of the bacteria, and through these licenses only we can sell that particular bacteria only. Otherwise, we cannot sell other bacteria which are in their. So this is to develop the product formulation from other bacteria, so are found to be have beneficial effects on the crops, and they can be also utilized to develop a suitable product or a suitable kind of formulation like that. So these PGPRs are basically releasing the molecules, and these molecules are basically the natural biological nanoparticles which can work in a very low concentration to a great extent. So these interact and coordinate with some natural molecules, mediated nanoparticles, and it provides a kind of umbrella coating to the crops by their specific means. So these PGPRs are versatile. These PGPRs are very effective for enhancing and maintaining the sustainable agriculture productivity. Now, this is a kind of team which we can see that the PGPRs can be distributed into different categories on the basis of location, on the basis of function, and on the basis of activities. On the basis of location, they can be categorized into two categories. One is extracellular PGPRs, another is intracellular PGPRs. Extracellular PGPRs are those PGPRs which are residing in the atmosphere, external atmosphere of the soil. It means they are also available inside as well as outside. But intracellular PGPRs are totally residing in the root region also. So they can be utilized as an intracellular PGPRs or a kind of endophytes. So on the basis of location, they're distributed like that. But on the basis of function, they can be a PGPR, plant growth promoting bacteria. They can be a biocontrolling bacteria. Or can be a stress hormone regulating bacteria. There might be multiple functions. Okay, now I'm broadly categorized into three categories. On the basis of activities, there are different formulations and different products are prepared, like biofertilizers. We are already into the biofertilizers market. We are also developing the phytostimulators by using the PGPRs. We are developing the rhizoremediation agents by using the PGPRs. We are developing the biopesticides and bioprotectants. So there are different sorts of different PGPRs, and those PGPRs properties can be explored. These strains can be explored further to develop some suitable molecules and suitable products like that. So this is another definition of what is a biofertilizer, what is a phytostimulator, and biopesticide. Now, in today's scenario, a new concept of biostimulants have arisen. There is a particular definition that is generated for biostimulants. So the biostimulants is different from that of biofertilizer. So there are this is another of conversation. And, so these molecules all, either we are taking the molecules from bacteria, PGPRs, or other we are taking the PGPRs as such, we are anyhow developing. Now here I am describing about the important and significant PGPRs we are working on, and we are developing the products out of it. So one is major PGPR and mycorrhiza. That is a versatile and a great PGPR, I must say, because this to make the root colonize. Suppose you are sitting, suppose 100 or much kilometer away from one place, and nearby your tea, there is a growth of multiple trees, effective greenery. So that greenery is also associated with other kinds of greenery and other crops which are about 100 miles or 1,000 miles apart from you. So that is because of the mycorrhiza only, because mycorrhiza are working in such a concept, because they are unable to engulf the roots of the crops, and they colonize the roots in a very beautiful manner, so that there is a well-defined network of the roots interconnecting with the different crops, different trees, and you can see the jungles residing, and there are a lot of many villages where greenery is there. So it is because of the mycorrhiza that the mycorrhiza are interacting the different crops and the trees to each other in a very beautiful manner, and they are able to solubilize the complex phosphates available in the soil. They are also releasing some signal molecules and growth molecules that are responsible for growth of the crops also. So nowadays in mycorrhiza, when we sell the product, the mycorrhiza, we define the mycorrhiza as infective propagules. So in fact, there is a standard norms in agriculture that how many IPs labels are available in your product. So that should be about 80 to 100. So what is IP basically? I must say, because I'm here elaborating about the mycorrhiza, I must describe what is IP and what is a spore. So as in bacterial biofertilizers, we are mentioning about the spore count, CFU per ml. Here in mycorrhiza, we are just mentioning about the IP levels. So IP is basically fiber, fragments, all things which are infected by the mycorrhiza or which are having some microspores, they are completely known as IP. So if suppose our product is having thousands of IPs or millions of IPs, it means our product is very great, and then this is having significant mycorrhiza and significant effective mycorrhizal colonies, so that they are responsible for the growth of the crops, like that. Now this you can see here, this is about the different kinds of mycorrhizal strains available in the soil. So there are different kinds of spores, and as per the geometry, there are different kinds of spores of mycorrhiza, and on the basis of the spores only, they are being categorized into different genera. So there are mycorrhiza. There must be Glomus species, Aculus species, Aculospora, Gigantospora, Gagulosa, mycorrhiza are available, and they are categorized on the basis of the kinds of spore formation, the kind of vesicle formation they produce. So the beauty of mycorrhiza is like that, that they are able to colonize the roots in a very beautiful manner. They are developing the fibrous patterns in the roots. Okay, so when the crop which are not the mycorrhiza, those crops which are having the growth, that will not be very effective. But when we are infecting the crops with mycorrhiza, there will be a different branching pattern of crops for a longer duration for a plant. So this colonization can be studied by using the mycorrhiza. So the root. There are different other PGPRs also besides mycorrhiza. They are able to enhance the productivity. They are well known. Some explore. There are different which are already able to identified and illustrated. So there are different categories of PGPRs also which are having the good fungicidal action. They are good fungicidal agents. They are specific antagonistic agents like that. They are also there are some PGPRs which are entomopathogenic in nature. So these entomopathogenic fungi, I must say that when I am talking about the PGPR, a broad term known as plant growth promoting rhizobacteria, I am elaborating about the bacteria as well as the fungi. The bacteria and fungi which are available in this category, which are comprised in this category, a broad term PGPR, which is comprising the bacteria and fungus responsible for agriculture productivity or having the positive PGPR action. So don't confuse with my term that I am talking about rhizobacteria, from where the fungus is coming. So it is rhizobacteria means previously it was known as, it was termed as PGPMs, plant growth promoting microbes. Now it is broadly classified into PGPRs only because it is residing in the rhizosphere, and dominant genera which are identified are that are of bacteria, they are bacterial strains. It is broadly classified as rhizobacteria, but it is comprising the fungus, the positive PGPR fungus as well as the positive PGPR bacteria. So there are different PGPRs which are entomopathogenic fungi, and entomopathogenic means the PGPR which are attacking the insects. They are acting as insecticidal agents. They are acting as the pesticidal agents. These fungi are Metarhiza manisipulae, Pacillomyces liliaceus. There are Verticillium licani, and there are Beveria bassiana, and other such fungi are there, which are able to secrete molecules in such a very well manner that they are infecting the cuticle of the insects. They are destroying the arthropods skeleton, and they are destroying the insect like that. They are in like that. You can see this picture now. This is the role of entomopathogenic fungi. So they basically, when they infect the insects, they burst the exoskeleton of the insect, and they make the insect dead. They make the particular pest dead. Okay, so this is the role of entomopathogenic fungi. Now, the question is how we can propagate, we can apply this microbial culture. So the concept of microbiology is always like that. We need sterilization practices, okay, and definitely for mass cultivation of such biofertilizers or biopesticides or bioinsecticides, we have to start from that, definitely. So from the lab, we have some standard cultures. Okay, we have to subculture for the particular period, how much period they are active. Suppose they have to maintain like that records also, and we have to subculture it, and we have to further propagate in a small conical flask. And then to break conical flask to the also to that particular micro or that particular PGPR. So mass cultivation is very easy, but at each and every step you have to control about the contamination. You have to control the pH. You have to check the pH and temperatures and other things like that. So from the test tube we can start to the flask, the small flask to the big flask to the pellet fermenters to seed fermenters, and to large commercial fermenters like that. So in biofertilizers, basically we need a specific spore count of the organism. So in agriculture norms, in Indian agriculture, there are specific norms that how much count we have to maintain in the product. Okay, how much spores we have to maintain in spores. We are just counting the IPs. Okay, we are just mentioning the IPs there, but in other biofertilizers, it's like any biofertilizer related to any bacteria or any bacterial PGPR or any fungal PGPR, we are just mentioning the counts. So there should be 10 to the power 5 to 10 to the power 8 CFU per ml in your product without contamination. The pH should be very specific, 6 to 7, and there should be specific. There should not be any gas formation. There should be any. Stability should be maintained. There should not be any other bacteria. There should not be any other contaminant available in your product. Besides what bacteria or what fungus you making that to biofertilizer or biopesticide like that. For the commercial fermenters, definitely when you are taking, this is a scale up actually, when you are taking from the test tube to the pellet fermenters, to the small flask, to the pellet fermenters, and to the commercial fermenters which are having large volumes. So there the things are very crucial because you have to maintain the specific inoculum sizes also. If suppose you are not maintaining the inoculum sizes, you are not able to maintain that particular count also, and you are not able to produce the effective product also. Okay, so the conditions, the care should be taken to develop and to propagate in such a manner. So this through liquid culture, definitely you are going for the submerged fermentation, but there is another manner through which different powder formulations can be developed, and this powder formulations can be developed through solid state fermentations. So we can do also solid state fermentations for developing the suitable micro, like this micros, developing the micro on the trays like that, and the pellets also we are generating the counts in the form of IPs also. Okay, so this is trichoderma. You can do trichoderma with a specific well-defined media. So in Pratishtha we are developing all these things. This is about Pacillomyces liliaceus, an entomopathogenic fungi. Trichoderma, really you know about trichoderma, but it's a good fungicicidal agent, is a good pesticidal agent, is a good biocontrol agent. So we can develop the trichoderma by solid state fermentation. Similarly, Pacillomyces liliaceus, which is a entomopathogenic fungi that can be also developed by solid state fermentation. Besides solid state fermentation, you can also use for submerged fermentation also. But basically, I just want to say that for fermentation for fungi, you have to develop the solid state fermentation technologies only. So this is about Babesia. This is another entomopathogenic fungi that can be developed or that can be scaled up through solid state fermentation. Now, solid state fermentation can be utilized, products can be utilized, the produce out of solid state fermentation can be utilized to develop the formulations. And using the, for developing the powder formulations, you have to use some kinds of specialized carriers, some kinds of tankers, some kinds of material like that, which are sterilized and can be utilized to develop a kind of product in a powder formulation. So this is a lot. Similarly, we can utilize such organisms for development of nanoparticles. Now, I must say that these molecules, these microbes are basically releasing wonderful molecules. They are releasing growth factors, they're releasing suitable metabolites, they're releasing enzymes in a well-defined manner. When we are providing the suitable media at a specific pH and a suitable temperature, we are enhancing their properties. We are enhancing the properties, and they are able to secrete the specific molecules. These molecules are the specific kinds of nanoparticles only, which are having specific dimensions from 1 to 100 nanometers, and they can be characterized, they can be utilized in a meaningful manner to develop some formulations, nano formulations. So at Pratishtha, we are into the nano formulations also. We are developing the nano biological fertilizers. Nowadays, we are having the 5 generation technology, and this technology is basically a versatile technology that is being used in our by Pratishtha for the first time in India, and we are very effective in terms of the biofertilizers and other things, biostimulants and biofertilizers basically. Now, these molecules can be utilized to present nanoparticles, metallic nanoparticles also, the growth factors, the signal molecules, or any kind of growth hormones or any metabolites can be fused with the metal source prepared in nanoparticles. And these nanoparticles are basically can be utilized to develop a kind of nano formulations. Okay, nano formulations, and the main basic concept of nano fertilizers is that they are required in a very small quantity, and they are very stable for a longer period. Since they are biological in nature, they are easily biodegradable, so they can be easily anchored in the ecosystem also, and in the soil also. If you are using this as a soil agent, if suppose you are using foliar spray, absorb the system, they promote the growth of that crop. They enhance the sustainable productivity. Similarly, they also survive for a long period of time, unlike to that of other fertilizers or chemical fertilizers, which you might have seen in the scenario. Nanoparticle formulation process may be very delayed, and we have general formulation practice. We are developing nanoparticles, how we maintain the sizes. I must say that the nanoparticle sizes where properties are very specific. How much the size of the particle is, that is dependent upon the kind of property it is producing. Okay, so it is giving some significant property only on the basis of the significant sizes. If we have very large sizes, then we will not get such property. So the size optimization, the particle size optimization, and the stability is also another issue that has to be worked for developing such agents. This is about the trichoderma fused silver nanoparticle. We have produced the metabolites out of trichoderma, and we have fused with the silveric metallic ions, so that this will be a kind of meaningful pesticidal and insecticidal agent. We know that trichoderma is a repository of molecules, and these molecules are having different biocontrol agent properties. So these are fused antimicrobial substances like that, they can be utilized in a very meaningful manner like that. So we have identified the sizes also, and this is about the fungicidal properties, antifungal properties against different characteristic pathogens, phytopathogens invading the crops. This is about Babesia and we have metabolites out of Bassiana, and we have fused with the metallic ion like silver, and we have found that in comparison to Beauveria bassiana as such, these metallic particles are having the tremendous and significant pesticidal and insecticidal properties. This is about the silica nanocomposites. Silica composites, other things, the silica is a weapon molecule, and it is providing the strength and rigidity to crops. So we can produce nanoparticles also by using some silica solubilizing bacteria, and we have developed silica nanocomposites and test crops found that silica nanocomposites are very significant for the for the growth of the crops. Also, they provide a sustainable agriculture as well as they are also invading whiteflies attack, different kinds of pests attacking the brinjal. The studies are going study to identify the properties of the silica composite and from what all aspects this can be utilized like that. So we also into the customized solution. We're developing the customized solution for detoxification of chemicals and pesticides from soil using PGPRs as base nanoparticles consortia. So whatsoever the beneficial bacteria we have, so we are also developing the consortia and we are also developing the nano formulations out of it, so that these products can be utilized as another generation technology, a latest generation technology that can be utilized in a very significant manner in comparison to the conventional products in the market. So we are working tremendously hard for all such developments and formulations and R&D. Sometimes with R&D we are also going for the productions, pilot scale fermentations we are doing, and we are also testing these products in our own agriculture facility available at our campus. So this is to all the students and all to my dear friends that research is just a thing that in which we can explore and we can identify many prospects, but to convert research into commercialization, that is another great thing. So we as a researcher should also to concentrate that whatever we are having the information, what we are having the knowledge, we should commercialize in a very meaningful manner and a very low cost and in a very reproducible manner, so that it can be explored properly. It can be sold properly, and it can be easily available to the communities of local farmers and other people who are not able to invest a lot of money in that. So, and the technology should be very cheap, like that. It can be commercialized like that. So thank you so much all of you for giving me the opportunity to talk on the current scenario. Thank you so much for the listening.
Our students, this is great opportunity to interact with such a innovative professor and scientist, Dr. Abhishek Mathur, my friend, my dear friend, and also you can ask, interact, and if you have any query, you can send in the chat box. So I think Manish have sent the query in the chat box, sir. You can see there.
Sir.
How PGPR are isolated and which solvent is used.
Okay. How PGPR is isolated and which solvent is used. Okay. Beta PGPRs are basically bacteria itself, bacteria and microbes itself. They may be bacteria or fungi. So no solvent is required as such, I must say, and you just need a growth media. You just need a specific defined medium so that you can isolate the PGPRs. Okay. First of all, as you are isolating different bacteria from the soil, similar is the process for isolating the bacteria, the PGPRs also. But only thing is that for isolation of PGPRs specifically, you have to concentrate on the rhizospheric region of the soil. Okay, from the rhizospheric region only you will get the PGPRs. But I am not saying like that that you will get the PGPRs only. Okay, you will get other bacteria also. So you have to screen them. You have to screen them that whether these microbes which we have isolated from the so-and-so soil sample from the rhizospheric region, that is having the positive PGPR activity or not. So there are different assays there are different characteristic assays in which through which we can identify PGPRs. Are basically the positive PGPRs will release some molecules like growth factors. They are able to secrete a cellular force. Like all those assays, these assays are characterizing the positive PGPRs from negative PGPRs. Okay, so the bacteria which are not able to show these properties, not able to secrete oxygen and cytokinin or indole acetic acid like those molecules, they are negative PGPRs. Fine. So positive PGPRs are definitely characterized by all these things and all these assays, and you will isolate further. You can separate it further from negative PGPR category, and you can identify further. On further researches you can do, further lab trials you can do, pot assays you can do, seed germination assays you can do. Once that positive PGPR is tested on the suitable experiments, okay, then you go for some field trials also on some crops. Okay, from the seed to the plant level, like that. You have to study vigorously at that time. But first of all, there is a need to identify and you have to separate out the positive PGPRs from negative PGPRs, because when you are isolating the microbes, you are definitely isolating many microbes from the soil. As you know that in soil, many microorganisms are available. So next question is, in case of nanoparticles, why only silver is being used for binding mycorrhiza, not other element? Why so? It's not like that. We have tested silver. As you know that silver is a strong antimicrobial agent and it is commonly used for antimicrobial properties. So we come to know that we have already taken that silver as a material, and here I have presented you as a silver, but we have tested in many metallic ions also. Different zinc particles are zinc ions salts are there. There are copper salts are there. So that all those things, metallic ions can also be utilized for preparation of nanoparticles. Nothing like that we have to use silver only. Second thing, just to when we start the research, when we start the studies, so we have to start from one end. Suppose, okay, we have to start from one side. So once it is tested for silver, we have to test other things also. So then nothing is like that. We have to use silver only. Next question: what are the factors that affect PGPR in greenhouse? Definitely PGPRs in greenhouse and polyhouses that can be utilized in a very well manner, because in polyhouses and greenhouses.
Factor affects PGPR in greenhouse. इसका हो गया.
Sir, excuse me, sir.
Please tell me.
Hello, sir.
हाँ बेटा बोलो.
Yeah, please tell me.
Anji, sir.
हाँ सर.
We can use this PGR in your rice also.
Definitely. Definitely.
Okay, then if we can use, then while heavy rainfall, in many cases runoff occurs, right? So and it becomes the limitations of these biofertilizers cases in cultivation of rice. So how do we sustain the PGR?
Actually, I'm not getting your question. Can you please repeat completely?
Just a minute, sir. I will send it.
Can you please repeat?
आपका क्वेश्चन क्या है? हिंदी में बताओ कोई.
हिंदी में बोलो, कोई दिक्कत नहीं है.
राइस में यहाँ हेवी रेनफॉल के दौरान यहाँ रन ऑफ तो बहुत ज्यादा हो जाते हैं ना.
नेपाल में पहाड़ी एरिया है सर.
तो उसके कैसे
पूछ रहा है कि अगर मान लो राइस फील्ड में डालते हैं PGPR तो वो तो रन ऑफ हो जाएगा ना, वाटर जिससे ढेर सारा फ्लो करेगा डाल दो.
उसको सस्टेन कैसे करेंगे?
नहीं, ऐसा नहीं है. वाटर से रन ऑफ क्या होना है? वाटर डोजिंग तो वैसे ही होनी है फील्ड के अंदर, सॉइल के अंदर. डिफरेंट फॉर्मुलेशंस आर देयर. अगर आप लिक्विड फॉर्मुलेशन यूज नहीं करना चाहते, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. देयर आर पाउडर फॉर्मुलेशंस आल्सो, देयर आर ग्रेन्यूल फॉर्मुलेशंस आल्सो. ओके, तो मेन ये बात है कि आपको PGPR सॉइल के अंदर देना है. आपको वहां पे वाटर लॉजिंग के अंदर भी आपको PGPR देना है, तो डेफिनेटली वो रहेगा तो वो उसी एटमॉस्फेयर के अंदर ही. और बैक्टीरिया है तो बैक्टीरिया मल्टीप्लिकेशन आप कैसे उसको डोजिंग करते हो, आप कैसे उसको स्प्रेड करते हो, दैट इज वेरी इफेक्टिव. सपोज इफ इट इज इफेक्टिव देन इट विल सस्टेन इन दैट पर्टिकुलर एनवायरनमेंट. नथिंग लाइक इश्यूज. ऐसा कोई इशू नहीं है कि आप वहां पे उसको सस्टेन नहीं कर पाते हो. कॉमनली यूज होता है मतलब commonly use हो है. हेलो.
हाँ जी सर. हेलो.
जी. हाँ मेरे वो आप मुझे आपको आंसर मिला या आपको कुछ कंफ्यूजन है और है अभी?
नहीं हो गया सर.
ओके. Any more questions, sir?
हेलो सर. बहुत अच्छा क्वेश्चन था, बहुत इनोवेटिव क्वेश्चन था. ये राइस फील्ड में बहुत प्रॉब्लम आती है, और अगर आप लोगों को, जैसे हमारे बच्चे भी काफी इनोवेटिव हैं और नेपाल में खुद से खेती करते हैं, कितना एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप भी लगाई है, तो पीजीपीआर का सर के साथ हमारा टाइप है, और हम लोग बहुत जल्दी वो चीज भी अवेलेबल कराएंगे फील्ड स्टडी के लिए. अगर आप लोगों को रिक्वायरमेंट होगी नेपाल में भी, तो वी कैन प्लान दैट ऑल्सो. और ये भी क्वेश्चन बड़ा अच्छा था. फर्मेंटेशन में किसी का क्वेश्चन पूछ रहा था कि हाउ वी कैन ग्रो लार्ज स्केल पीजीपीआर इन फर्मेंटेशन. तो सर उसमें थोड़ा सा आप हाईलाइट कीजिए.
सर एक्चुअली लार्ज स्केल में आपको सपोज 1 लीटर आपने कल्चर अपने लैब में तैयार किया, 1 लीटर से आपको 100 लीटर, 100 लीटर, 1000 लीटर मटेरियल बनाना है, तो डेफिनेटली यू विल नीड सम फर्मेंटर्स. और आपको आपको फर्मेंटर्स चाहिए और आपको रिएक्टर्स चाहिए जिसके थ्रू आप है ना उसको आगे बढ़ा पाएंगे. तो यू हैव टू मेंटेन ईच एंड एवरी स्टेप. स्लाइस कंडीशन आपको मेंटेन करनी है, प्रॉपर
डायरेक्टली नहीं जा सकते बच्चों,
और उसकी ग्रोथ को ऑप्टिमाइज करना है. ग्रोथ को ऑप्टिमाइज करके
पहले स्टेप में आपको 1 लीटर में करना है.
सीधा आप 1000 लीटर बनाना चाहो तो थोड़ा प्रॉब्लम है आपके लिए.
उनका क्वेश्चन है 1 लीटर.
मैंने पहले भी बोला कि लार्ज साइज के लिए आपको पहले इनोकुलम उतना का होना चाहिए, क्योंकि अगर आपका 5% 10% इनोकुलम होना चाहिए. अगर आपका 5% 10% इनोकुलम नहीं है तो आप उसको उतना ज्यादा डेवलप नहीं कर पाते. आपको एक काउंट भी मेंटेन करना है ना, प्रोडक्ट के अंदर आपको एक काउंट मेंटेन करना है. तो आपका प्रोडक्ट बन भी गया और आपको काउंट आप मेंटेन नहीं कर पाए तो वो आपकी प्रॉब्लम है, कहीं आप सेल नहीं कर पाओगे उसको.
Thank Dr. Saab for answering enlightening so many aspects of the PGR with biofertilizer and various regulatory aspects of the rice culture.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Agriculture, you have so much vast experience and you've given very useful information for my students. Most of them they are going to in the real fields. They are applying these practices. So now our next speaker is with us. Professor Shankar Pradhan, very renowned researcher and have at least 50 years of research experience. So I invite Dr. Baljeet ma'am. Baljeet ma'am?
Yes, sir.
Mute.
Good afternoon, everyone. Our today's guest of honor, Dr. S.M. Paul Khurana, is with us. Good afternoon, sir. Dr. Khurana is specialized in advanced virology. He's currently working as head in Innovation Center, Amity University, Gurgaon. Earlier, he was working as Vice Chancellor in Rani Durgavati University, Jabalpur from 2004 to 2009. He has 53-year research experience in plant pathology and virology. He has published more than 230 research papers. He has 16 books to credit. He is a member of Indian Phytopathology Society. It's my great pleasure to invite Professor S.M. Paul Khurana to enlighten student with his latest experience, innovative knowledge, so that our students can take the advantage of this knowledge in the future. So please, sir, Dr. Paul Khurana.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
You are now audible, sir. The mic is muted, sir. हेलो सर। जी सर। आप म्यूटेड है सर, आपकी आवाज नहीं आ रही थी सर। हाँ जी सर, आवाज आ रही सर। हाँ सर, बोले सर। हेलो सर, आवाज आ रही है? हेलो यस सर। सर स्क्रीन दिख रही है सर? Now it's visible, sir. Hello, sir. I'm audible, sir. चलेगा अभी सब दिख रहा है सर? सर आप पीपीटी शेयर करिए सर, मैं पोस्ट बना देता हूँ आपको, ठीक है सर? तो आपकी तरफ से भी दिखेगा अगर इधर डिस्कनेक्ट होता है। अपनी तरफ से पीपीटी चलाएं सर, दिखेगा आपको। डिस्कनेक्शन वाली प्रॉब्लम नहीं आएगी बार-बार।
राहुल मैंने भी आया था भी आ गया।
आपकी आवाज म्यूटेड है सर। शेयर करिए।
हेलो।
हाँ जी सर, आवाज आ रही है सर आपकी? ऑडिबल सर।
आपको मेरी आवाज आ रही है?
हाँ जी सर, आवाज आ रही है आपको परफेक्ट।
आवाज आ रही
हैं?
आवाज आ रही है क्या?
आपको आवाज आ गई?
हाँ, बोल रहे हैं आ रही है आवाज।
हाँ जी सर, आवाज आ रही है।
आ रही है, बोल रहे हैं।
आ रही है, लेकिन
पीपीटी चलाएंगे।
स्क्रीन तो शेयर किया नहीं।
पीपीटी चलाएंगे।
सर पीपीटी आप शेयर करनी है, आप अपने से शेयर कीजिए।
से होना नहीं है।
पीपीटी आप अपनी तरफ से शेयर करिए सर, मैंने बंद कर दिया क्योंकि बार-बार प्रॉब्लम आ रही थी।
अभी कर सकता है। स्कूटर पता ही तो इंग्लिश चलते हैं।
यस सर, दिख रही है सर पीपीटी आपकी।
कुछ पीपीटी दिख रही है?
पीपीटी विजुअल है सर।
Yes, sir, you are audible and you.
कल बिल्कुल ये भी ठीक था.
इन देख रहा हूँ, ये फर्स्ट है, ये सेकंड, ठीक है, ऐसे चलाओ।
हाँ, PPT विजुअल है सर.
क्या बोलूं, जब कोई रिएक्शन ही नहीं है तो.
मिल गई है, सब कुछ दिख रहा है, आप कंटिन्यू करो, यहाँ से नीचे करते जाना, ऐसे ऐसे करके आपकी पीपीटी चलेगी, ठीक है, बस यहाँ से कट करना और कुछ नहीं करना।
नहीं, वो तो ऊपर नीचे कर
बस
लूंगा,
वही कर।
लेकिन ये रिएक्शन ही
उन्हें
कुछ
दिख रहा है, उन्हें दिख रहा है, देख सेड पीपीटी
दिख रहा है सर.
हेलो, कैन यू लिसन टू मी?
Yes sir, you are audible and your PPT is visible sir.
पीपीटी दिख रही है, audible। आप अपने पीपीटी कंटिन्यू।
ओके, आई स्टार्ट नाउ.
हाँ जी सर, थैंक यू सर.
As requested, I will be speaking on detection and management of viral disease